Scott, got league leaders Walsall coming on Saturday. You said on Tuesday night, bring them on. It's a game to get excited about, isn't it?
Yeah, I think, listen, if you're going to win a game, let's beat the team who are top of the league, eh?
Yeah.
That's the way we've got to look at it. We've got to approach it in that manner, you know. I think that you look at Walsall, they're at the top of the league for a reason because they're very good at what they do and they churn it out every week. They don't change. They're very similar from one game to the next and they're very efficient at it. We've got to try and get that level of consistency in our game. So I think it's a good game for us to attack. I think it's a game that I feel confident, even though they are where they are and we are where we are. I still feel confident. I watch Walsall in detail on after the Leyton Orient game on Wednesday, and when I watch the game, I feel that there's a team there that's really efficient about what they do. They're actually probably the best team I've ever seen at winning a game without a football. They're very, very good at not having the ball and picking their moments to pounce, and they do it so well. We've just got to make sure that we're really on it in everything we do and make sure that we don't turn the ball over in dangerous areas and make sure that we're really clean with our possession and passing, and hopefully we cause them a few problems the other way as well.
So you're expecting to have a lot of possession, are you, again? I know you normally do. But...
I think what they are is they're a team that they run really hard, Walsall. They've got some really hard, fast runners who can, compete really well. But they almost let you have the ball and wait for their moment, I'm expecting to have the ball. But I expect to have the ball in every game, if the truth be known. We just got to make sure that we don't get bored of having the ball and try and force things. And also, we've got to be fast with the ball. I don't want us to be slow. If their team's going to sit in and not bank in so much, but they're very clever about what they do and they jump at right moments, we've just got to make sure that we manoeuvre the ball around the pitch really quickly rather than be slow with the action, which we've been accused of before. So it's going to be an interesting game. One that I'm looking forward to because I think it's a challenge for us to take on the team who are top of the league, but it's one that we relish and we take on.
And you said before the Barrow game, it didn't quite work out, but you wanted the players to come out like Zebedee. That's the message to the players again, I assume, to get the crowd going?
I think so, yeah. And I think the players have got that within their capability. I think it's in-game where we've got to remain present. I think there's been moments in the game that knock us too easy. And we've got to get used to that. We're not always going to get it our own way. We're not always going to go 1-0 up or 2-0 up. There's going to be times when we're 1-0 down. We can't afford it to knock us like it has done in the past. It's almost like, oh, here we go again kind of attitude. We can't afford to have that attitude, especially in league football. You've got to be on it every moment. And yeah, we're never going to always get it our own way. And sometimes you've got to come from behind. You've got to still dig in. And I felt, even at Cambridge on Saturday, where at 2-0, I fancied us to stay in the game and still kind of like knock the door down. And then we have a really bad third goal, which, for me was the end of the game then. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
It became sort of like out of reach at that moment, but I never thought it was out of reach at 2-0. I really didn't. And you could see with the chances that we had late on, had it have been 2 against us, we potentially would have got something out of it. And that's why we've got to keep, stick to the task and keep playing and don't just fold as easy as we do. I think that we're a team that probably in the past lacked a little bit of confidence, and then when we go 1-0 down, it almost feels like, oh, here we go again. That's got to change, and it's got to change really quickly. And we can't always think we're going to go 1-0 up and it's going to be plain sailing and rosy, because it's not. Football's not like that, and we've got to learn really quickly.
Yeah, and you said after Tuesday's game, you've got some things to think about, certainly with team selection, because they played so well Tuesday. Has this been like the hardest week so far this season to pick a side?
Yeah, I think so. I think probably so. And listen, there were some brilliant performances on Tuesday night. I thought we played really well, especially in that first half. I thought we looked really assured, and I was pleased with loads of it. So yeah, it's given me, I wouldn't say a headache, it's just given me food for thought. And I think there's a lot of players who have trained well and trained themselves into the team, and there's players who have played their way into the team, and I think maybe you'll see some at the weekend that's happened to.
Yeah, and we saw Harry go off at half-time. Can you give us an update on him, and what about Addy and Harvey as well?
Addy is probably still a week away, maybe a week away. Harry, same again. He's not going to be. It's not long term, but potentially wouldn't be in time for this weekend. And Harvey probably has to tick a few boxes before we deem him fit. I think with Harvey, obviously it's a finger, so it's kind of like not a big injury as such, but he's a goalkeeper, so we've got to make sure that he ticks a few boxes first before we consider him.
Yeah, and Kahim's missing, isn't he? Because he's on.
Yeah, Kahim's obviously on international duty as well, so he's missing as well. So.
Yeah, it's a bit frustrating. You keep having these. You can't, like you said, you touched on it last week about consistency of. Selection.
It is what I think. I don't honestly know. I need to probably look at this. I know we've not played that many games, but I don't even think we've played the same team twice.
I don't think you have. No.
And that becomes frustrating. You look at the likes of Walsall. I think they have many a times, and I think that they'll play the same team. Not that I'm trying to give their secrets away or anything, but I think they'll play the same team that played the last game. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
And they've had that luxury. We haven't. We just haven't had that with injury, suspensions, and even Lofty last week couldn't play against his parent club, and this week we've got Kahim Dixon missing, and a few injuries. So, yeah, it's frustrating, but that's kind of what the job is. We seem to be. The start of the season has seemed to be a little bit stop-start for certainly for team selection, and it's been difficult to try and get that continuity and within the team selection. But it is what it is, and we just got to kind of not moan and get on with it.
Yeah, and the club published its nominations for Player of the Month for September. I think it was Harry McCurdy, Harvey Davis, Gerardo Bedrami, and Dion Pereira. I just wanted to focus on Gerardo a little bit because he's someone who came in quite late in the transfer window. And he's just settled in straight away and just gone around his business. What does he bring to the side, and how impressed have you been how quickly he settled?
I think he brings a calmness to our play. I think that he's played in possession teams before, that he understands what's needed and kind of to have that calm head in the middle of the pitch. I think he understands positioning around the pitch. He understands kind of like what's needed at what moment in the game, which obviously comes through experience. So he gives us that little bit of experience that we've probably not had. I think he probably does more in the games than people probably give him credit for. Maybe goes under the radar a little bit, but he certainly doesn't with me. I think he's a great player, and I think he's done fantastically well for us.
Yeah, and earlier this week we saw Tobias Phoenix leave. Does that mean more work for you in the short term with the roles he did? And are we expecting another sporting director to come in?
No, I don't think short term it means more work for me. I think that there will be another appointment in that role. I think it will be more geared towards the recruitment side of it as opposed to I don't think titles really matter, whether it's sporting director, director of football, head of recruitment, whatever it may be, performance director, whatever. There's so many different titles now, isn't there? I don't think it really matters what the title is, but it will be mainly focused around recruitment. I think it's impossible nowadays for a manager to do it and to do it all on his own. I think to have somebody here to do that job, to identify kind of players that sit into the way we play, to have a depth chart and probably 2 or 3 players in each position on a depth chart to from window to window, because even though we have a full squad, as it were, you're kind of always looking to improve on that and always looking to, whether it's bringing more in or just improving on top of what you've got, you're always looking. So I don't think there needs to be loads of changes, even though the season so far would suggest that we're not good. Because of where we are. I don't actually think we deserve to be where we are personally. I think that if you look at a lot of the stats, we're kind of quite high up on a lot of the good stats, really high up. Even on XG and things like that, I think we're top 6 or 7 for XG4 and shots on target. I think we're in the top 4 or something madness like that, So there's a lot of the good stats that we're actually in a good position or should be in a good position. And probably our points that we've gained from our games have not been enough from our performances. A lot of people might argue that, I don't know, but that's the truth, A lot of the stats are kind of in our favour, so we've kind of underperformed a little bit. So yeah, I think it's more about having somebody to come in and help along with the recruitment and to really take that mantra on and and have a way and a process of working more than anything.
And finally, have you got a priest in this week to bless the goalmouth?
I've spoke to Raf actually, and I was deadly serious about it because I do think that it needs doing.
Fair enough. Thanks, God. Good luck
Thank you.
Saturday.